I'll speak a bit about the Harry Dunn case. This has been something that's been on my mind for quite a while, and I'm not comfortable about it. I'm not comfortable with the situation and its implications. So, if you don't know, my British viewers may be familiar with the case. If you're not familiar with it, basically, Harry Dunn was a young man who was killed in a road accident near an RAF base in Northamptonshire in November last year. Now, this would have been a tragic but regular road accident had it not been for the fact that the person responsible was the wife of an American diplomat. Her name is Anne Sekulis, and she was charged by Northamptonshire police, but then successfully claimed diplomatic immunity and went back to the United States. And it's a case that's generated considerable controversy and raised a lot of questions over, um, well, to put it bluntly, the special relationship, among other things, not least the fact that there has apparently been numerous near misses near that base. So, if it's a case of American nationals who are being reckless with our road safety, then they need to really, I'm referring to these recent cases, they need to be warned that their licenses will be stripped or something. I think the base needs to get its act together in terms of locals have said that they treated in a sort of cavalier attitude. I haven't used those words, but that's the impression that there's been several other near misses. That's not good enough. So I think the base needs to really look at itself and review what sort of attitude some of its personnel may be taking to road safety. Um, but this case is very unfortunate because it's involving an allied country, kind of putting us between a rock and a hard place. Although, um, naturally, the first and foremost priority of any British government should be for British nationals. So niceties with an ally should come second to that. Um, I think this reveals some glaring problems. I'm not going to go into the case in depth because there's a lot of angles to look at, but one thing I have considered, if this was the other way around, let's say, for example, British diplomat or their spouse was involved in a fatal accident in, say, rural Virginia. In fact, Nancy Nicholas is from Virginia, so that's a good example. And let's say an American teenager was killed, right? And that person then claimed diplomatic immunity, came back to the UK. I do not think that Washington would just be quiet about that. I think they would make a huge issue about it, and I think they would push us into a corner where we would be bullied into handing the person over, or this is a glaring example of American power, and I think it is an opportunity to say, well, yes, we're allies, but we also have to be firm. Um, I understand the Dunn family has been very unhappy with the way Dominic Raab handled this. Now, I'm not going to criticize the Foreign Secretary. I think he's got a very difficult job. I'm not going to say he should have done this or he should have done that. But I can understand the family being upset about it. And I know up to the general election, Harry Dunn's father confronted the Foreign Secretary at a hustings event for which he was actually escorted away by security, apparently due to fire safety. It didn't come across too well. Rab actually lost his rag a little bit. He said, well, he lost his patience, I should say. He said, not here, not in front of the cameras. So it's sort of implying Harry Dunn's father was just doing it for the cameras. I thought that was a little bit tactless by the Foreign Secretary. I thought he should have been a bit more sensitive. But like I say, it's easy to judge these things by what we see on camera. Um, One thing's for sure, no matter what happens, the Dunn family won't get their son back. So it may be that their judgment on this is clouded by the pain that they're going through, which is totally understandable. But I don't think it should be a case that we are reluctant to speak out because it's an allied country or because it's the most powerful country in the world. And to be fair, the Home Office has taken quite a robust stance. They have actually said today, or in the last few days, it would be a denial of justice. Now, the American State Department, Mike Pompeo, has said that it would be a worrying precedent if diplomatic immunity was to be overlooked. But this is a non-political issue in the sense that it's not about an issue of national security or something. It's about a British national who's died at the hands of an American national, high rank. I think the fact that she immediately seemed to sought diplomatic immunity doesn't exactly put her in a good light. It seems that she's only trying to cover herself. Now, I don't know if I know that Trump called it a tragic accident. I don't know if Anne Coulage herself has made any sort of statement of regret or remorse, but like I say, I really think if this was the other way around, you know, we would absolutely be pushed into a corner. Um, so let's just be honest with ourselves. The special relationship is not equal. It's not a level playing field. America is a much more powerful country than the United Kingdom. And I don't think it's unpatriotic to say that. It's just a fact. We're a great power. The United States is a superpower, the only superpower. Um, it's not really surprising that they've refused the extradition request because, to be honest, most countries would probably do that. And we have also had nationals. I know there was a guy that was accused of hacking who was a British national. The Americans demanded his extradition, and we didn't hand him over. So I suppose there's that to consider. But I also look back to the Louise Woodward case in the late 90s. I believe it was 1997. She was a British au pair charged with killing a baby in Massachusetts. It was the shaken baby syndrome, and there was a lengthy legal process over that. And in the worst case scenario, she would have got life imprisonment. Now, eventually, she came back to the UK, but that I remember soured relations for a while. And then there was the whole incident, the whole fracas with our diplomat last year. So it's an uncomfortable truth to say that the special relationship isn't always so comfortable. I take no pleasure from any of this. If it was China or Russia, it would be kind of, they're not natural allies. The United States is. But it shouldn't be a case that because they're allies, we're afraid to speak out. And I have to say, Priti Patel and the local MP, who's actually Andrea Leadsom, have come across quite strong. They have been advocates for the Dunn family. Um, like I say, the Home Office has taken a strong stand. I would also say that the lawyer for the Dunn family is actually, unless I'm mistaken, an American citizen, Rad Seeger. Family spokesman Rad Seeger said they were now incredibly reassured this whole cycle will be dealt with under the rule of law. This was with a December meeting where the Home Secretary Priti Patel visited the house of the Dunn family. So it's an unfortunate situation, and I hope something can be reached. But if it's a simple case that Anne Sekulis just gets away with this with absolutely no consequences, that would seem fundamentally wrong to me. I mean, a young man is dead over her reckless driving. I don't think it's an excuse to say Trump came out and said, "Oh, many of our people have difficulty driving on the other side of the road." That's not an excuse. If they're in another country, it's their obligation to be familiar with it. You know, if a British national caused an accident in the United States, especially a fatal accident, I doubt the Americans would be going lenient on them. So, you know, the United States is known for being tough on foreign nationals, even of allies, even of allied countries. So I don't think we should let this matter rest. And it is unfortunate, you know, particularly. I also think it's a reminder that we should not be overly reliant on the United States alone for trade. Um, this is going to be a thorn for Boris Johnson as he seeks to secure American trade deals. But, you know, It's a reminder that we should also maintain close ties to our Commonwealth allies, Australia, Canada, New Zealand in particular, and our European allies. You know, leaving the EU at the end of this week should not mean that we were only relying on America. We should maintain very strong ties with France, with the Netherlands, with Ireland, Germany, and I'm not anti-American. I think we should have close relations to the United States, but we shouldn't do it at the price of being pushed around. There's that scene in Love Actually where the Prime Minister, played by Hugh Grant, says a friend who bullies us is no longer a friend. Now, it's not quite as dramatic as all that, but we should remember this is not a level relationship. The US is a much more powerful country. We probably need them more than they need us, if we're being totally honest. But that shouldn't mean that we allow ourselves to be pushed around. And I'm not surprised. I mean, I wouldn't have expected the State Department to just say, okay, well, here she is, we'll send her back. But they should at least acknowledge that a young man is dead. And they can't just dismiss it as a tragic accident when, she was driving recklessly. So I hope some sort of something can be reached out of this, because it's really an unfortunate situation. Like I say, if it was another country, if it was China or Russia, it would still be diplomatic difficulty, but it would be less surprising. It would be less, um, they're not natural allies in the way that the United States is, and that's why it's awkward to say the least. But I really feel for the Dunn family, and ultimately, we must put this country first. We must put our nationals first. And if that means standing up to American power, so be it. We need to do what we can do. We may not get the absolute perfect results, but we should make it clear to Pompeo and Trump that this isn't just going to be, well, that's fine. And if we do, or if does just end here, then the next time that the situation is in reverse, we should just remind the Americans of how they respond to this.